Hello everyone, welcome back to Omegon 2 Electric Boogaloo. Before we go through today's video that we're going to respond to, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank you. We've almost hit 1 year of this channel being, well, created and used, and we've done exceedingly well. At time of recording, we have 6,650 subscribers. Thank you very much for that. The goal of the year is to try and get that to 10,000, that is. Any additional support in growing this channel would be greatly appreciated. So to the video. This is what gender ideology does to young people. Confuses them about their identity. Incredibly sad. After watching the video, all it did for me was confirm a long-held thought that people aren't so much interested in saying who they are, but solely trying to make it so that other people cannot understand them. Not just lost in translation with what you say, but your very identity, your character, your persona is all about that confusion, which may as well be a gender unto itself at this point.
The thing that's complicated about my whole gender situation, and I feel like there are other non-binary people who deal with this too.
Have you considered, while I will not for 1 second denigrate any one individual's struggle with their identity, have you considered simply identifying as a perpetual contrarian, or a hipster for short? You'll often find Occam's razor in full effect. Or, if you just want to make it a little more complicated, you could simply have a different identity for every day of the week. Think of it like your clothing, your underwear. You change it at least once a day, right? I assume with you it's in the form of a nappy.
Is the fact that the way I understand my gender and the way that I want other people to understand my gender are two wildly different things.
You know, over the last 5 years, people have made more of an effort to say, my name is this and these are my pronouns, because you want people to know who you are. So you go so far as to put them in your bio on your social media. Or in your case, you private your TikTok because libs of TikTok put you on blast and you didn't like the heat. Because you said something dumb and you got blowback for it. It's called fuck around, find out. I'm surprised you've not heard of it. But as more people over the years have made more of a concerted effort to tell everyone who they are, go figure, some contrarian dickwad is going to come by and go, well, this is fine, but now I need to make it more complicated. As if there are two totally different versions. Identities, perhaps. There are pills for that, by the way. They look like Skittles. Just swallow them down and I'm sure you'll get back to where you should be.
Because I, and certain people that I've talked to about this, understand the nuances and complicated relationships that I have with womanhood.
I don't suppose you come from money, do you? I've noticed some that do come from quite wealthy backgrounds like to push back against the establishment types, those that have given them their pocket money to make their lives easier. I guess the one way to be certain will be, do you have an assistant to brush your teeth? If the answer is yes, you're just being a contrarian hipster, or just a hipster for short. Additionally, while we can all appreciate subtle nuances when it comes to gender and gender identity and the, well, lack of attachment to womanhood, all we really care about is, are you a good person? All we care about is, do you do a good job? Are you okay to your friends? When you put messages out like this, that muddy the water, poison the well, make it even more complicated, it invariably ends one way, and it's what led to you privating your TikTok account.
So those are included when we think of me as a woman or say she, her.
But I thought you said you were non-binary. Doesn't she, her contradict that a little bit? In fact, most of this seems to contradict everything anyway. Is this meant to be more prophetic, more philosophical, as a discussion for you at your camera? Is that what this is meant to be? If it is, Tumblr is probably the place you need to upload it, not TikTok. More and more people are getting blowback for what they think on TikTok. Unless, of course, you're using this to also sell honey or something. In which case, I'll take a large jar, thank you. Oh, yes. I need it for my toast.
Char grilled to perfection.
Like, those weird relationships are still understood. But almost everyone else, they don't have that, so they don't get to call me those things.
Hold up. Wait. Are you now telling me that what it is you have an identity for the casual, and you have an identity for the intimate, the personal? That just tells me you put on a face, a mask. The mask being something you treat as a trophy for others to observe you as, whereas those who are closer to you get the real you, or other version of you that's contained, so the others don't have to see that version of you. It sounds an awful lot like someone who wears different outfits, depending on the environment they're in. Yeah, I can think of a few people who are very religious who do that. It's quite embarrassing, really, that you think you have to hide something from everyone else, or appear something else, which makes you seem like a big fat phony.
To almost everyone else in real life, I am not a woman and I use they, them.
So I was right then. You are a fraud. A phony. You put on a face for one group of people, and then a completely different face for other people. You tokenize your identity even of non-binary. For what reason?
As I'm cool to the rest of the kids.
But to your friends, your whammon. Do you see the contradictions here? I am almost certain I'm not the only person that sees this and thinks, this isn't necessarily about confusion. This is about you trying to be the biggest dickhead you could be. Because only once you're in my inner circle can you be considered trustworthy enough to embrace my femininity. Which I'm sure, like Scientology, will require vast donations. Do you want to set up a GoFundMe for it?
But then because I will call myself a woman or use she, her, understanding the nuances of it all.
You're about to get confused, aren't you? I'm now starting to understand why libs of TikTok mentioned the word confused in the tweet.
I feel guilty when I feel bad.
Now, if only there was a solution that would aid you in alleviating this guilt, negativity, so that you could live your best life without making something that isn't as much of a deal as you think it is at present as much of a big deal. Like, say, not making your gender identity the focus of your entire existence. You are like a one-dimensional villain in a movie, which is almost every single one of them. So might I recommend, as you have two separate gender identities for those that know you personally and those that know you casually, why not just have either both merge together, like a dimensional merge, oh, cringe, or pick one, embrace and explore it, and if it isn't great, go to the other. If it doesn't work out either, I highly recommend go back to the first one and try again. Science demands at least 3 experiments, alright?
About getting misgendered by people who should be using they, them and not thinking of me as a woman.
See, that part is a root problem when it comes to feels before reals, but also entitlement. You expect and demand respect, which is not how it should work at all. When someone tells me I should respect their pronouns, the answer is going to be no, because if I don't know you, I have no reason to respect anything about you. I will show a modicum of courtesy, and respect is built upon it. That's called being polite. You, though, are looking for an excuse to be offended. That's the thing. You want to be offended. You want to be angry. You want to have something to fight. It's human nature to want something to fight. It's why more people are involved in wars as populations increase. In fact, there are studies on this that show as the populations increase, it is more likely wars will happen because too much happening in too small a space. I wonder if that makes any sense in the context of this, so I might have just had a bit of a segue there. Sorry, folks.
I mean, they're not wrong.
You're right. They're not. Because you have given them a card, they used the card, you've then acted like a woman in a relationship and said, no, I meant this one instead. And if they use that one, oh, you don't know me like that, so you have to use that one. It almost comes across as a weak tea attempt to say it's not what you said, but how you said it.
Except they don't know they're not wrong.
That sounds an awful lot like a you problem. Have you considered resolving it? A name tag, maybe a giant neon sign, a tattoo perhaps on your forehead. You've got quite a large one.
They've been told I'm non-binary and I use they, them.
There's a reason for that. You see, society has yet to catch up yet and fully adopt this crap. Additionally, if you present as a woman, people will accidentally say the wrong thing to you. I don't know what non-binary is supposed to look like. I really don't. Present, behave, mannerisms, all akin to that of someone more feminine, people will slip and say that. If you've given them a pronoun and they've worked with the they, them, when you, with your intimate circle, as you earlier said, you, she, her, people are going to make mistakes. Again, you're looking for an argument. You really are. It's quite tragic, really.
So why are they still thinking of me as a woman?
Is this the part where I insert a misogynistic comment like, probably because you're acting hysterical right now, like a woman? Some things can't be resisted. That was one of them. I would say, because I don't have the rest of the video to work with and I know you carry on, and with your profile now private, I am unsure what the remainder of what your video says. I will say for the sake of it though, you have options to make your life simpler, if you really want to be. But as you've been conditioned a certain way, and as you are now an adult and unlikely to see your own version of Stockholm Syndrome in effect, you are unlikely to make the necessary changes because of your own arrogance. Stop huffing your ego out of your asshole long enough to introspect and realize you make your life as complicated as you want it to be. I personally do not bother with pronouns at all in my life. For myself, that is. I couldn't care less In reality, if someone says she to me, I don't care. I'm 37, I have no reason to care. You prioritize the wrong thing, a very small thing, hyper-focus on it, which there's a name for, by the way, a type of condition, yeah? Don't think you're it, but you certainly try to pretend you are it. Ends with tistic, and forgetting to enjoy life. It's very important. These little battles mean nothing in the grand scheme of things, I can promise you that.